All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You welcome back to the African Fighters. I remain your humble host, Jabril Aminu, and today we have two guests, but we have one currently available, and it's none other than a boy Yagi. Yagi, you see what's up, man? Yagi, introduce yourself,
So
my brother.
y'all, how you guys doing?
Yeah.
Hello everybody, I'm Yagi. I'm very happy to be here.
Great, great. Yagi is a man of a very few words. If you guys remember, Yagi has been on our show multiple times, but in the last two shows, he has been on a sabbatical. Yagi took some tours to Spain. I saw you posting the beautiful Santiago Bernabeu, the new stadium. How you tell me, Yagi, how was that experience?
It
Was that your first time in the Bernabeu?
was good. Yeah, it was good. It's first time in Madrid. Yeah, so it was very good. It was good to get out of this place for a little bit. So it's good. It was a good experience. I'll go again. Maybe when it's warm up.
Have you been in an NFL game before?
NFL, yeah,
So
but
what,
this one is soccer.
I know. Well, so my question is, how would you compare the atmosphere in an NFL stadium and the atmosphere in the Bernabeu?
By far, Bilbao was more passionate. A lot
Really?
more passionate fans. Oh, the Spanish people, vamos, vamos, vamos. Like they were all like, and I was sitting, I had a very pretty good seat. The lady in front of me and her husband, she was probably like 87, her husband was like 90. And they
Wow.
were like all into it and everything. So it was big, it was good, it was a good experience. I'll definitely go again. Cold
Okay.
monkey or boy, but I'll go again.
But anyways, you come from a hot city in America, so I believe Europe will be a
Mhm.
bit colder. Anyways, guys, enough of the banter. We'll just get right into it. Hi, welcome back, guys. So today we are going to be talking about UFC 270, Francis Ngannou, the main event basically, Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane. Um, well, we have had opportunities. Me and Yagi, we have had the opportunity. Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We have Demola here as well. Demola, welcome to the show. Say what's up to the
Hello,
guys.
hello guys. It's
All
nice
right,
being live with you, Jibril, and Yagazi, right?
Yagi.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Yagi.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. All
young
right,
and getting it, Yagi.
okay, okay. Anyway, so yeah, yeah, we started without you, but we haven't really started. I was just going to start talking about UFC 270, the main event that is Cyril Gane versus the champion Francis Ngannou, the interim champion. It's a unification bout, and we have had time to digest because I did an instant reaction of the video of the fight, and there were some things that I said that I was a bit passionate that it came out, and I'm pretty sure you guys as well have gotten to digest and see the reaction coming out of the show and have maybe some changes in your initial thoughts or whatever. So quickly, I would go to Demola. Demola, can you please explain to me, just give me a brief explanation of how round one to round five went?
Okay, so
So wait,
that's the
wait.
main event.
Before we start, I'm just gonna say, just imagine that I did not watch the fight, or the people that are watching this show have not watched the fight. Explain to them what happened in round one and round five, and do that briefly, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I actually cannot imagine that a UFC lover like yourself did not watch the match. But jokes aside, um, starting from round one, round one was quite close. Francis came in, trying to measure the distance, trying to get his pace right with Cyril Gan, and they were basically gauging each other in round one, and then Cyril was trying to maintain distance. He was doing a lot of distance management. Then he was actually dominant. In terms of the strikes. In terms of the significant strikes. He was dominant. He was um, basically gauging Francis with his jabs, with some kicks as well, and then he made some spinning elbows and a spinning fists in the round one. Then scoring it, I actually gave round one to Cyril Gunn. Then round two as well. It became more heated, and then Cyril was was actually trying to fight in the pockets, but then Francis was actually very calculated in throughout the fight and then in round two. So for me, I scored round one to Cyril Gann, but then round two was more of a coin flip. You could say Cyril Gann won round two. You could also, make an argument, make a case for Francis Ngannou. Then, in round three, Francis, adopted a wrestling heavy approach. So he was shooting for the takedowns in round three, and then he was quite dominant on the ground. They had some grappling exchanges in round three, and Francis, had a lot of he had more of the ground control time. At some point, was it in round three, either round three or round four? I can't remember exactly now. Surugan attempted a heel hook. That actually testifies to how solid Surugan's ground game is. He's very dangerous off his back. And then round four as well, Francis maintained that wrestling heavy approach. He was able to take the fight to the ground as well in round four and round five as well. So rounds three, rounds four, round five, they were clearly rounds in favor of Francis Ngannou. And in round five, Francis Ngannou actually showed that you've always had questions about Francis's gas tank, but he was able to pace himself and not gas himself out in round five, and he was able to maintain top control in the grappling exchanges. At some point in round five, Cyril took Francis to the ground, but you would remember the grappling exchanges and then the reversal that Francis had in round five. So basically, rounds three, four, and five um, unequivocally go to Francis Ngannou, then rounds one and two to Cyril Gane. That's it from me.
Okay, okay. Well, thank you so much for explaining. And well, there are some parts that I would say that I would not agree with you. Well, that's my own
Okay, what
opinion,
are those
anyways.
parts?
So,
Let's see. Let's see.
so the parts where the round two in round you stated that in the round two that it was more of a coin flip, and honestly I think round two was unanimously or was overt for Sirogan because Ngannou
Cyril Gane, right?
couldn't get anything. That's my opinion, no. And we noticed that the scorecards in the end was 48 47 48 47. There was one 49 46 for Ngannou. I think maybe one of the judges gave the first round to Ngannou, right? I don't think any judge would have given him the second round, but maybe Yagi has a different opinion about that. Yagi, how did you see the scoring, and how did you score the fight, basically?
I scored it 48-47 Ghana. I thought Cyril won the first round. I thought round two was way more dominant. I thought Cyril won the first round with he's able to clinch control
Mm.
because Cyril was able to maintain distance but also force Ngannou to grapple. And I thought Ngannou was dead tired after round two. But all of a sudden, he switched the game plan.
Mm.
And I think that confused Cyril Gane because I think Cyril Gane's game plan was try to force Francis to wrestle early and then strike for him in the later rounds because Francis should be more tired. But Francis switched it up with him and wrestled later. And Cyril is normally not a wrestler or a grappler, so that was a complete shift to him and kind of exposed him a little bit. So I thought it was 3 rounds to Francis, and like the Mola said, round three, four, five, Francis, round one and two, Cyril. Now, if any round was to be given to Francis, to any extra rounds given to Francis, probably round one. But I thought 3 rounds to two was good for Francis.
Okay. Well, yeah, I agree with you as well. I agree with most of what Demola was saying. Demola, you just moved out of the frame. Okay, there you are. I thought we lost you for a second. So there is also the fact that Ngannou was literally fighting like against all odds. That's the caption of this video, right? Against all odds. The odds of him fighting against UFC brass. Because of his contract agreement, the fact that he was fighting against UFC media as well, the media team, they were not favoring him at all. The fact that he was fighting against the French media or the European press of sports as well, they were not with him at all. If you watch the post-fight presser, you would see some questions that were so absurd. You understand that they asked in French. After being translated, you would wonder why would they ask this type of questions. And then lastly, I would say like we saw Francis with some buckled knees. Basically, apparently after the fight, we got to know that he tore his ACL. What did they call him? ACL and
MCL, PCL.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so with that being said, how impressed are you about Ngannou's heart? Yagi, you can go first. How impressed are you with his heart about the in this performance?
I was very impressed because the amount of pressure on Francis was ridiculous. Everybody in the UFC wanted him to lose. The fact that Dana didn't wrap the belt around him and didn't show up to the presser told me that the UFC brass was hoping on Sirogan to win. And now, not only that, he was also fighting against his former teammate, his former coach, who's also from the same country as him.
Mm,
So, and then he now came in injured. But I wasn't surprised because I don't know if you've been able to watch Francis Ngannou's interview with Joe Rogan. He
mm-hmm,
detailed his story,
mm-hmm,
leaving Africa, leaving Cameroon, and all making it all the way to France. So once I heard that, it kind of gave me an idea of who Francis Ngannou is. He's one of these very strong-minded people that regardless if they set their mind on something, they will always pursue it. So I was very, very impressed. The wrestling, the cardio really impressed me. And you could tell he was visibly tired after the second round, but he was able to dig into his mind to give him that extra reserve to win. So I'm very, very impressed. I'm happy that he was able to win. Now he can get what he wants.
Well, I'm just gonna segue here and say that Demola in our clubhouse in your clubhouse video clubhouse studio or what do they call it?
Podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In our
So
podcast.
yeah, yeah. So a couple of hours before the main event, you did mention that what if Francis Ngannou wrestles? And I will tell you that I came out and I was like, no, there's no chance Francis Ngannou is wrestling. I
I hate to
literally
say
said
this, but I
so.
told y'all.
Yeah, and then I was like, after the fight, in my in my instant reaction, I did say that Demola would be like, "I told you so, I told you so." So you here's your chance. You can tell me I told you so.
Okay, so I actually love and hate to say the fact that I told you all this. So I was talking about this. Cyril Gann is actually an accomplished kickboxer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then we understand the fact that his strength is, striking basically, fighting at a distance, when it comes to distance management, when it comes to fighting with significant strikes, with the jabs, with the various ranges of the striking tools, Sirogan clearly has advantage in that, right? And then I said something on our clubhouse and podcast. You would agree with me that fight IQ, fight IQ is actually very important when fighting a smart fight. Your fight IQ and your game plan are actually very important when you are actually fighting a very important fight, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, the smart thing to have done for Francis Ngannou to have a pathway to victory was to actually capitalize on Cyril Gann's weaknesses, and that is adopting a wrestling heavy approach. You'd agree with me that Francis Ngannou had the goat, the welterweight goat, the Nigerian Kamaru Usman in his corner. Then Kamaru Usman is an accomplished wrestler. He's an NCAA wrestler, and then he's got a really fantastic team, a fantastic training
Shim
camp,
Couture.
then they would have actually come up with this smart game plan, take him to the ground, dominate him. You might even get a 10-8 round. And then, that's a smart way to, to defeat person like Cyril Gann. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And then I was expecting Francis to do what he had not done before. And then he came out and he made me proud.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. All right. Well, as I said earlier, immediately when I saw the wrestling, I just quickly remembered that you told me, and I was like, nah, 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 dog. But anyways, let's just go ahead real quick before without wasting time. I think we lost Yagi there for a minute. We'll just continue before we get him back. We'll be on autopilot now. So the next thing I would like to talk about is I'm not sure if you are aware that Dana White did not wrap the belt around Ngannou's waist, which is something that is ceremonial that actually does happen. And in this instance, Dana White was literally in the building. He just wrapped the belt around Figueredo's waist, and then all of a sudden, when Ngannou won, he wasn't there, and neither was he in the post-fighter press conference. If you'd ask me, that's a bit petty and a bit childish. But in your opinion, what do you think? How do you react to Dana White snubbing Ngannou? Do you think it was disrespectful? What's your take?
For me, it is what it is. I said it from the beginning. The UFC were clearly biased, against Francis Ngannou, and for me, like I'm very disappointed because the UFC is a brand that I strongly identify with, and we understand that the fight business is a fight business. You cannot get like every of the fighters on your roster, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
you should try to accord them some respect. You know, you shouldn't, be biased against your fighter such that you disrespect a whole division.
Mm,
Acting in such a way is, disrespectful to the heavyweight division. You get
mm,
it. So it means that, yeah, if Cyril Gane had actually won that fight, he may have been there. He probably would have his personal reasons. He has not come up to tell us to address the press, and for him not to have been at the press conference, something might have gone wrong. So the thing is, we might be reading, things wrong. we there's a possibility that we might be, reading things wrong until Dana White comes out and says, okay, this is the reason why I I was not available to wrap the belt around, to perform the belt wrapping ceremony, and then of course, to be involved in the post fight press conference. So for me, with my love for the UFC, I want to remain neutral in the meantime until White actually releases a statement on this. But for me, if it is born out of bias, I think I'll be very, very disappointed.
Well, I think, in my opinion, I think Dana White was being petty. He absolutely knew what he was doing. If you'd ask me, I know that now Ngannou has the upper hand. Ngannou has the advantage in the bargaining table. Ngannou now is a champion of the UFC that does not have a contract. Ngannou, apparently, he would have to leave the company in the end of December, if he does not defend his title. So so I feel like the last picture of Ngannou in the UFC is Dana White putting the belt around his waist. That is what Dana White doesn't want. He doesn't want to put the belt around the waist of somebody that wouldn't be available or somebody that will be gone. That's my own take on it. And I think he's also trying to do power play when it comes to the negotiations. He has already started power play before they actually do sit down and talk about the contract. So with that being said, I will just segue into what does this mean for the future of Ngannou. Are we going to see Francis Ngannou again in the UFC in the meantime, or is boxing actually in his near future? What's your take on that?
Okay, so the thing is this, money makes the world go round. It is
Mm-hmm.
what it is, the money is, what commands the day. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. So, there have actually been, public outcries in recent time, for the UFC to up pay of the fighters, especially, the guys who are more accomplished. But then we understand that the UFC is a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the first priority of the business is to make profit. Well ahead of the welfare of the employees and certain other stakeholders.
Mm.
We are seeing a situation in the heavyweight division in which Francis Ngannou is pushing to be well paid. Aside from Francis Ngannou, remember that a certain John Bones Jones is in that heavyweight division as well, and
Mm.
then he's also pushing to earn his own slides of the big cake, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
I'm actually very afraid, not just in the case of Francis Ngannou, but also the UFC as a whole, and especially the heavyweight division. Take out Francis Ngannou, take out John Jones, take out Stipe Miocic. That division, is going to be dry in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, I really do hope that Dana is able to come to the negotiation table and leave the whole power play thing, and let's find a middle ground. I want to also believe that Francis and his team, are reasonable persons, right? Let them find a middle ground. Let's see what they can offer these guys. They should actually earn more. They deserve to earn more. The UFC as well, deserves to earn more. But then, let them put up the show for us, the fans. And in the very very near future, I do see, Francis Ngannou chasing the Red Panty Knights with somebody like maybe Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury has actually been mentioning his name, in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of his social media posts. Right? It will be fantastic to see something like a cross promotional fight, and that would actually earn money for the UFC. Mind you, Francis Ngannou is one of the most marketable athletes in the UFC. We can arguably say he's the most marketable heavyweight,
Mm-hmm.
in the UFC. And we could see something like what happened between Conor McGregor and Mayweather
Okay. Okay.
happening.
Sorry to cut you off. We have the main question I've asked you. You have gone like this, like this, like this, like this. You have landed somewhere else. But what you are talking about, we'll revisit that about matchmaking in the heavyweight division. So my question was about, would Francis actually still fight in the UFC? What do you think would happen? I would also ask Yagi here because Yagi was not there
It's
when
not
I
a
asked the
yes or no
question.
question. It's
Yes,
not a
I
yes or
know,
no
I
for
know, I
me.
know, I know. But
It's
but we
strongly
fell in.
dependent
Yes, we.
on
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the bargaining result from the bargaining table.
Yes, yes, yes. And you
So
fell into matchmaking. You started matchmaking John Jones already. So, so I understand. I understand. John Jones versus either Ngannou or Sirogan is a big fight. But my question is, I would ask Yagi now. Yagi, what do you actually think Ngannou will fight in the UFC again after watching the post-fight conference, after seeing Dana White's attitude towards this whole situation? Do you actually think that they will come to an agreement and Francis Ngannou will fight again?
No, I think this is the last fight. But I think the fact that Dana didn't put that belt around him, Dana didn't come to the press conference, that shows that Dana himself is not willing to budge to what Francis is asking for. And Francis himself is not willing to budge. Because even if you look at Francis post-fight speech, he was like, I must fight a boxing fight. And the way Francis has been disrespected, first of all, the interim belt, putting that out there just 3, 4 months after he won his
Mm-hmm.
belt, the whole way the fight was promoted and everything. I think Francis is probably going to go to somewhere where he can have leverage, either go box and do MMA. Right now, all the cards are in front of Francis. I honestly think this is his last fight. And if you look at the post-fight presser, he didn't want to come out and say it is, but you can tell from his mannerisms, tell from the way he's been reacting to a lot of things that this is probably going to be his last fight in the UFC.
Okay. With that being said, I both heard your opinions. I actually do think that.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jibril.
Uh-huh.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jibril.
Go ahead.
I want to put something to you guys. I want to put something to you guys. So, like, how much do you think Francis Ngannou actually earns from UFC 270?
Well, there was a post out there about their purses. It's public knowledge. I think that's the Ali Act. That's what they call it in boxing. Yeah, the Ali Act, where they'll have to show the purses, and the purses without bonuses, without any extras from sponsors or any backdoor
Okay.
deal. Ngannou was going
Okay.
to get 600K, and well,
600K.
yeah. Ngannou, and also the purses. I think the purses for the whole event, including everybody from the top of the card to the bottom of the card, was about $2.1 million. Which, which is a bit a bit tiny, a tiny fraction from what boxing heavyweights get, or boxing
Yeah.
top stars get. But anyways, we're not going to talk about salary, Fighter P. We'll talk about that some other time. But still speaking about Ngannou and his contract and all of that, do you guys think that if Ngannou leaves UFC today and probably lands that fight with Tyson Fury, do you actually think that that is a career suicide? I would answer first before I let you guys go take this up. I think that his fight with Tyson Fury, nobody would expect him to win, but he would make a whole lot of money, probably more than he has ever made in the UFC, all combined together. I think if he loses, it's as long as it's not embarrassing. If he loses, it would not tarnish his image at all. But what would happen is he will get a bigger fan base, and if he eventually comes back to the MMA fans will remember that he doesn't only strike; he has wrestling as well. He will bring his crossover fans to MMA again, and his next contract after any boxing fight that he has will be a very very huge one, be it a UFC contract or be it a private a pass what do you call that, one and done contract that he would maybe probably fight just one fight. Whatever contract he's gonna get is going to be a huge one. That's my opinion. But I would ask you, Demola, what do you think would be if Francis Ngannou actually goes to boxing? Do you think it would be bad for him? How do you think it would impact his career at large?
For me, I think it's going to be a fantastic move for him. You know, fighting Tyson Fury, the heavyweight champion of the world, win or lose, he's not even expected to win. Let's even put it that way. He's not expected to win, so it's not going to make him look bad. It's not going to make him look bad, and then he's going to earn, he's going to earn the big payday. And then,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to gain fans in the boxing world, right? And then his next move, do not be surprised if he has one big boxing match, and then he probably wants to stick to boxing. Say fight Tyson Fury, I lose. I want to challenge Anthony Joshua. I want to challenge Deontay Wilder. I want to challenge even a Derek Chisora, or what's the other British guy? I can't remember his name. Even if he's challenging Derek Chisora, for example, that fight will not do anything less than 500,000 pay-per-view buys, right? So it's just upward and onward for him. If you ask me, it's forward, upward, and onward for Francis Ngannou. And if he decides to come to MMA, probably he might not come back to the UFC. He might maybe go to Bellator, and he'll be able to negotiate his contract well. Yeah, he would actually come back with a better bargaining power. And I know that the UFC would not want him to come back to MMA and
Mm-hmm.
go to Bellator. So they would actually have to, find a middle ground point in time. But then it's actually going to be a fantastic deal for him.
All right,
That's where
thank
I
you.
won't take
All
it.
right, all right, all right. I'll quickly just go to Yagi. I know Yagi, you have about 15 minutes here left with us. I would try to push through. I'll just let you answer this question real quick. How would it be for his legacy, Francis Ngannou? Do you think it would tarnish his image, or would it impact his career if he eventually moves to boxing, if it does actually happen?
I mean, I think the number one thing we need to remember is boxing and MMA are two different things. Just because Baba hits hard in MMA doesn't mean that he'll do good in boxing. And he's talking about Tyson Fury. Let's be real here. I saw what he did against Sirogan. After 5 minutes, Baba was gassed. He became Khabib.
Mm,
Tyson Fury, people don't hit Tyson Fury flush. I think if he's going to boxing, he should probably look for like a Deontay Wilder, where there's zero technique, but there's power. So power for power. Last, somebody will get knocked out as opposed to you embarrassing yourself. So
mm,
I think he's going to box, but I don't know if it's going to be against Tyson Fury. I think Ngannou always wanted to be a boxer. Even
mm-hmm.
when he started MMA, his boxing he wanted to do, and he didn't go to MMA. So he's just trying to go back to his roots. I think this is just him trying to get a little bit of money and then retire. So, but he needs to be wise against who he's going to go to, because I think if he goes against someone like Tyson Fury, it won't look good for him. And that will hurt his bargaining power if he ever wants to come back to MMA. But I think he's going to go to boxing, maybe box one or two boxing fights and then retire.
Okay,
That's all
so
I know.
I do know that as this from what we've seen from this fight now, Sorogan losing. If you look at the top 10 of the UFC heavyweights, Francis Ngannou has beaten most of them, right? Um,
Mhm.
let's say now Ngannou actually leaves. The UFC are sort of in like this predicament. Let's say Ngannou leaves, right? Uh, who is going to fight for the title without John Jones being there? Because John Jones now fighting the UFC. It's all the same thing. We guys keep forgetting that there's also a contract agreement disagreement there as well. So that means that the UFC will bend to John Jones at this
Mhm.
point. But now, who's left in there? Serogan now. Serogan now. Let's say Serogan fights TP for the vacant title if there's a title. That means that those are Ngannou's leftovers. The UFC heavyweight title will look bad because everybody knows
Mhm.
that those guys are all just champions because Ngannou is in there. Let's say Curtis Blades comes up. Let's say Lewis comes up. Let's say the only person that is out of this picture, that is out of this whole circle, is Tom Aspinall of the UK, who hasn't really been tested by these guys. So
Mhm.
I feel the UFC are in sort of
Mhm.
like a spot where they actually do need to get this contract done with Ngannou because it will make their heavyweight division look very soft. Because last, if they don't have this contract with Ngannou, they'll go and face John Jones, who is also a dick about his contract as well, right? Because he's the only person that can be a champion that people will
Yeah.
be like, he's a legitimate champion, he's a Hall of Famer. You get me? So, with that being said, I just want you
Can I
guys
can
to
I jump in with
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Because I thought about that yesterday.
yeah, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you. I just want you to match
Okay.
make for me the scenario where Ngannou leaves. What would UFC do?
You want to talk?
Yeah, yes, yes, Yagi.
Okay. So I think there's a guy that people are forgetting, and they just gave the guy a very, very big fight. And this guy can be a superstar.
To Ivasa?
Tied to Ivasa. A lot of people are forgetting. Tied to Ivasa is fighting Derek Lewis. If
Yeah.
he beats Derek Lewis, he's fighting for the belt next, regardless of who he's fighting against. Now,
Mhm.
Stipe has been out for a while. I think Stipe is probably going to fight um, Curtis Blades.
Mhm.
If Stipe beats Curtis Blades, well, you can say Stipe and Ngannou are 1-1.
Mhm.
If Taito Ivasa beats Derek Lewis, remember Derek Lewis already beat Ngannou before. You can say, well, he beat the guy that beat Ngannou. It becomes tricky if Derek Lewis beats Taito Ivasa, which I don't see. I think Taito Ivasa beats Derek Lewis. Then I think for the vacant belt, you can say, oh, Stipe is the greatest heavyweight of all time. Stipe versus Taito Ivasa. Fans love Stipe.
Mhm.
Fans love Taito Ivasa. So if Ngannou leaves, both of those boys can fight for the belt. And if Taito Ivasa somehow wins the belt, that's somebody who Ngannou hasn't fought. That's
And there's
someone who
there's
has a huge
Aspinall. There's
fan base. They
Aspinall
can
as
go and
well.
make. Well, Aspinall is fighting Volkov.
Mm,
So if he beats Volkov, then he's up in there as well. Because after Tuivasa, Aspinall is another one of the guys that this guy hasn't fought. So
mm,
I think they are pushing Tuivasa now. Heavy.
mm.
And Tuivasa is young, he's like 27, 28. So,
He's sort of a fan
and there
favorite
will
now
always be
because of his
guys,
shoeies.
yeah, fan favorite, Shui, young guy, fresh guy we don't send anybody kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
he just wants
I
to
think
drink beer
that's
and
the
chill.
game plan, right? Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask Demola, but Demola is just doing hide and seek with us. Demola, how would you do the matchmaking, please, of the UFC heavyweight division? Let's
UFC
assume
heavyweight division.
let's assume Francis Ngannou is not there. Do you agree with Yagi?
Okay. If Francis Ngannou is not in the UFC heavyweight picture, I would actually love John Jones to be in that picture. I love John Jones to be in that picture in the absence of Francis Ngannou. So it means we'll be looking in the direction of John Jones versus Cyril Gane. Yeah, John Jones Cyril Gane is going to be a fight that will have a lot of fireworks. Trust me. These are two credentialed strikers, and then mind you, John Jones is also credentialed a wrestler as well, and he has a really tough chin, and everybody's saying he has not been tested at heavyweights.
Okay,
He has not
okay.
been tested at
Okay, I
heavyweights.
have a question for you. What if Sirogan beats John Jones? Sirogan would be a champion that he's only a champion because Ngannou is not there. So he would be weak for the UFC. Do you understand what I mean?
So, so I'll put this to you that you're actually doing some MMA math here.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth is, if Francis Ngannou actually stays in the UFC, there's always the possibility of having a rematch
Mm-hmm.
between Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane, and
Mm-hmm.
it is not a given that Francis Ngannou would actually beat Cyril Gane in a rematch. You get it. So a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
for
Yagi is
us
raising
who are
his hand. After
pundits,
you are done, Yagi will take
Yeah.
will respond. Okay. Yagi, what
so
were you gonna say? Uh,
Because I just heard what Demola said, but if you look at the UFC history itself, they don't
mm,
like to have a guy who the champ beats fight for the belt because it still puts that division under the cloud of champ. Look at 155, for example. Oliveira never
when
fought Khabib.
Khabib left, yeah.
Yes. Oliveira never fought Khabib. Justin wanted that title from the set for where Chandler never fought Khabib. They gave it to Chandler instead of Dustin, Justin, but they made Oliveira versus Chandler to fight for the vacant belt so that it won't be that, oh, Khabib has retired, but this is still Khabib's division. You know what I'm saying?
mind you, sorry to come in here. Mind you, that
Mhm.
Dustin did not want the title shot. That was why the title shot was, skipped to somebody else.
Okay, explain Justin now.
He wanted the red panty night with Tommy
Explain
Red.
Justin. Justin Unko. Justin
Justin.
Gaethje.
He
Justin
had just
Gaethje.
lost. He was coming off a loss.
And that's what I'm saying. Gain is coming off a loss. He will
Okay,
fight
okay.
for a
So,
vacant belt.
game coming up.
Mhm.
So for me, my assumption is, in a scenario in which Gan actually has another fight and then fights his way back up to the title contention picture. So basically, John Jones might not be ready till maybe towards the end of the year, right? Then but then if you're looking at the current events of things, I think John Jones versus Stipe Miocic will be more like it, a former champion versus an ex-champion. It's a battle of ex-champions. You can actually market that John Jones versus Stipe Miocic. That would be yeah, that would be a good one basically in the absence of Francis Ngannou.
Okay. Well, Yagi, you only have 3 minutes here left, and I can see that
I
Demola.
texted them. I'm on. I'm
Oh,
on.
okay,
I
okay, great.
texted them. I told them I'll come.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
great, fantastic, fantastic. Demola, do we still have you here for like 10 more minutes?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, because you
Yes,
seem
please.
you seem a bit distracted over there. I don't know which package you don't arrange for day where you know what make we see. Well, now you Sabisha.
Uh,
anyways, we'll keep on the low because I know you are in Abuja now. You know how Abuja people they be. Anyways, so
you're not far from the truth.
I'm just gonna go away from Francis Ngannou now for a second. Uh, Yagi, did you watch the whole card 270, please?
I watched the whole main card, not like
Okay,
the whole
great,
card,
great, great. How
just the
about
whole
you?
main.
How about you? Did you watch the co-main event? Demola, did you watch the co-main event? The co-main.
I saw the co-main event. Yes, I did.
Okay, great, great. So, my question is quickly about Dave Moreno and Figueredo. I know that before the fight, Yagi wanted Figueredo to get his title back. Yagi does not like good guys. He doesn't like people smiling and fighting. So you don't like happy people. And I know that Demola, you kind of put your money on Moreno, didn't you? And I told you,
Put my money and I
yeah,
lost my money on
and I
Moreno,
and I
man.
told you and I told you before the fight that Figueredo had issues with his weight cut in the last fight. That I saw him looking good
Mhm.
and he weighed 1 pound less. You understand? He did not weigh. He was below
Mhm.
championship weight self. He felt good, looked good, and I told you that his power is always the problem in that division in that flyweight. The power that he packs is not for a flyweight; it's for a bantamweight. You understand?
Yeah,
So
it's not really power.
so, would you say I'll go with you, Demola, but trying to keep it brief, yeah? Did you score the fight for Figueredo, or did you think Moreno what's the word that people use in the MMA? If Pesino,
Right.
yeah, was robbed. Do you think Moreno was robbed? What do you think?
Okay, so to be honest, watching that fight, I scored that fight for the 48-47 in favor of Moreno, but I was actually expecting that fight to be a draw because that fight was actually very close. I was expecting either a split decision in favor of Moreno or a split decision draw, but it went the way it did. So I think for me to be able to like have a very objective opinion on match, I'll need to go watch it again, probably without the commentary, and then without the bias that I had for Moreno. But it was actually a very close fight. He could have actually gone either way.
Okay, great. Thank you for your input. I'll just take it back to Yagi. Yagi, real quick, tell me, did you actually score the fight for Figueredo, even though I know you're biased?
No, I scored it for Figueredo because if you look at volume, Moreno out-volumed him almost every
Mm-hmm.
round, out-volumed him. But then you're looking at volume and you're looking at damage.
Mm,
If Figgy knocked him down once, then you can say, oh, Moreno won this fight. But Figgy knocked him out 3 times in three
mm,
different rounds. So
mm-hmm.
you can't just say, oh, just because you out-volumed him, but you didn't really commit any damage. You can't just give the fight to Moreno. Now I think it should have probably been a split decision, but I think the right person won. And I think they'll probably do a fourth fight, which kind of sucks. But I think it's such a classic fight that they probably have to do a fourth fight. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you ask me now, yeah, the flyweight has been like since Henry Cejudo left, the only exciting thing that came up was Figueredo, and we didn't know that there was a Moreno, and the Moreno made it a bit entertaining. Now they're kind of hot potato with the belt. If they ask you now, who would Figueredo fight? You don't know because the flyweights they are not popular, right?
We have Askarov, we have Pantoja,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
trust me,
We have
it,
even
it
we have Manel Cap as well. We
can
have
actually go to
we have this guy
KKL.
this guy from New Zealand that just
Nah,
knocked
Kai
out
Kara France
Cody
deserves
no
it.
love. We have those guys, but
Kai Kara France.
you talked me into believing that they have stars as well. But anyways, I will still stick I will still stick to what I'm saying that it's a bit starless, but I think there is a fight between Kaikara France versus not Pantoja, Askarov. Is that in the works or is that
Askarov.
confirmed?
Yeah,
I
it's
can't.
happening March 26th.
Okay, so I think
Mhm.
maybe that would be the title, the contender fight, and I think there would be a fourth
The
fight.
title eliminator.
Yeah, I think there would be a fourth fight, but I don't think it would happen immediately now. But what's your take
Yeah.
on that, Yagi?
I think so too. I mean, it's kind of hard to have four fights. Even this trilogy, honestly, if we're being serious about this trilogy, we nobody really wanted this trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're going to a fourth fight, and very rarely do we have four fights. So let's give it some time to simmer. Let Moreno go and fight somebody. Maybe Moreno can fight Pantoja or even Manuel Cap. Just
Mm-hmm.
fight someone different. Let Kai Kara France fight someone different. If they both win their fights, then the fourth fight is now huge because we can ask him, well, these are the two best guys in the division. Let's settle it once and for all. We can either go to Mexico City or let's go to Brazil. Either one, or we can do it. We can come wherever. Let's just settle this fight. We can go to Abu Dhabi in the desert, neutral ground. Let's settle this fight.
I think the fight will
So
be huge in Mexico, most especially if Moreno wins it there. But
Moreno is a superstar. We forget Mexicans love
yo,
him.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know your thing with Mexicans. Why you don't like Moreno? He's a sweetheart, man. I don't know what you're talking about. You're saying Agbaya is playing with Legos. That is what Yagi is saying. No. anyways, anyways, would you say you enjoyed the co-main event? Was it satisfying for you to watch? Was it entertaining enough? Although I know I'm talking to you, Yagi, sorry, Demola. I know you lost money on that fight, but was it was it entertaining when you put your money emotions aside?
Yeah, trust me, I'm one of the most objective people in the world, you know. So, but then I like to put my money where my mouth is, basically. This fight was fireworks from round one to round five. It was fireworks all through, and then when the fight ends and you really do not know who is going to win, you
Mhm.
are so anxious to hear what Bruce Buffer is about to announce. That is the kind of fight that it was. So for me, like I told you, I was thinking it could be a draw, it could be a split decision win in favor of either Moreno or Figueredo. Then when it was when it came out as a unanimous 48-47 for Figueredo, I think I was a bit surprised because I feel that that fight was way closer than something that should have ended as a unanimous decision. So for me, it was very very close.
Okay. All right. I think, well, when it comes to the whole judging of that fight, I would say we don't have a choice but accept it the way it is. Let's say maybe there was, I think it's a third or second round where Moreno was dominating the whole fight. That is, had more activity, had more significant strikes, and then Figueredo with his bantamweight power got caught him slipping and then got a knockdown. He scored a knockdown, and well, the judges just gave the round to Figueredo because in boxing a knockdown is a big deal, and I think that's what translated into the UFC because we use a 10-9 or 10 based system. Yeah, 10, what do they call it? 10 most based system basically. That's why.
10-9 most systems.
Scoring system.
Yeah, so that's why I think the scoring was what it is. But last is the rule. If you get a knockdown, you probably would win the round. If you get two knockdowns, some judges will give it a 10-8. Anyway, so with that being said, I am just going to leave the matter of 270. Farouk keeps on reminding me. Our producer is in my ear reminding me about this one. Now we're going to talk about real quick. I don't know how what you guys know about this. It's about the Eagle FC, the Khabib Nurmagomedov. Oh gosh, how do you pronounce that last name? Nurmagomedov.
It's a tongue twister. It's a mouthful, man.
Yeah.
Khabib
Anyways,
Nurmagomedov.
yeah, Nurmagomedov, exactly. So Khabib's new
Hey,
promotion that
don't
is
bite
gonna,
your tongue.
debut in the USA. There's a lot of hype on it. There are fighters like Rashad Evans coming back to fight. Uh, there is Kevin Lee. There's a new division that was opened for Kevin Lee, and he there is a Kevin Lee fight versus Diego Sanchez that is coming up as
What's the
well.
good fight?
And what's most interesting about it to us, because we are the African fighters, our boy Impact Kasanganai, Chilobo just got signed on that on that promotion, and we heard that the pay is very very good, even though they haven't made it public very well. So I just want to just want to throw it to you guys now. What's your impression about Eagle FC? Do you think it will flop, or do you think that it would be like a third option or fourth option for MMA fans? What I would ask Yagi first. Yagi, what's your take about Eagle FC as a promotion?
Well, I like Eagle FC. It didn't start today. It's not like it's a brand new promotion. It's a promotion that has been going on in Russia for a while. It's just new to the American um, industry, American
Mhm.
environment. So
Mhm.
to the American fans, it seems like, oh, this is a brand new, but this is something that they've had for a while. So they
Mhm.
already have a roster of fighters. Right now, they're just getting some more fighters that we, the American fans, understand, and we already know we've already built a rapport with these fighters. So I personally think, I mean, it still has a long ways to go. The fan base has already been built in Russia, so they already have that fan base in Russia. It's just to grow the American public right now. I think there's still ways to go with Eagle FC, but they're currently in the right track. Now, did you want me to answer for Impa as well, or just Eagle
Yeah,
FC
yeah,
as now for now?
including Impact Kasanganai.
I think signing Impa was excellent. It was an excellent sign. I'm very excited to see what division he fights in. If he fights 165 or 175, because he left the UFC at 170. So I think he can make that 165. And it will be interesting to see how he performs. I think Impa is very talented. I think Impa is hungry. I think Impa still has a lot in the tank. But he shouldn't rush. He shouldn't rush because he's still green.
Hmm.
So let me take it one at a time. These Dagestanis, they are not regular human beings. He's not as if he's going to be fighting Khan. They will push him straight to the fight against these
Hmm.
Dagestanis. So he should just take it easy because you don't want to be the guy who couldn't make it in the UFC and now you went to EFC and the Dagestanis nobody has heard of team. So just take it slowly. Congrats to him as well for getting in.
Okay. I think
That's my view.
we lost Demola there, and yeah, I'm just gonna ask that question. Okay, Demola, they don't off light. I've been a NEPA.
Nigeria will shield me.
Nah,
Na na.
Nepa. Oh. Welcome to Abuja.
Na NEP. Anyways, the
Okay.
Demola, the question
So,
was about
um,
Eagle FC. Okay, you were hearing us. So, what do you think about Eagle
yeah,
FC
I can
and
hear you.
their debut in the USA and signings they've made and how do you see their progress going to be? Do you think it will be a success, or how do you see the promotion going?
I think the Eagle FC is a fantastic one. It's a really really impressive one, right? And then, mind you, it's actually not a direct competition to the UFC, right? And over time, the Eagle FC could be like the LFA, for example. That is like a feeder league to the UFC. So I think it can serve two purposes, right? Be a feeder league to the UFC, and as well, absorb UFC veterans that are cut from the UFC. And then they have an international audience. They've been around for a while, but then they were majorly in Russia, but then they're trying to now come out to the mainstream audience, mainstream MMA audience, basically in Euro, in mainstream Europe and in the US. So and then having a UFC veteran like Khabib, fronting for them, promoting that promotion. Basically, it's a fantastic one. I see them doing really really well if they can actually maintain this two strategic directions. Be a feeder team, be a feeder league to the UFC, and then absorb UFC veterans. It would be a fantastic one for them.
All right, I hope we get to see because somebody like Impa Kasanganai is not really a veteran per se. He's in his mid 20s. He's still learning in the sport. We had him on our show a couple of months ago, a couple of
Rashad
weeks ago.
Evans is Rashad
Oh,
to my
Rashad,
degree
yeah,
is
yeah, Rashad is a legend. He's a legend. Yeah, and well, It's very questionable for them to sign Diego Sanchez. I don't want the guy to come and die for them inside the ring. But anyways, signings like that will get people interested, and then who knows? they'll probably start making stars that will actually get signed into the UFC. However, I don't think that they have a very good rapport with the UFC yet, because if they do, they would have been under the UFC Fight Pass streaming. They are not there. I saw the
Exactly.
list. I saw the list of their streaming for their first event, and UFC Fight Pass wasn't there. Or if I'm wrong, let me just quickly check. But anyways,
It's
um,
not. It's not on UFC Fight Pass. I'm subscribed to the UFC Fight Pass, and I check
mm,
all of the shows that are airing from time to time.
oh, so
They are not.
they would be there, or would they not be there?
They are not. They are currently not on
Oh,
UFC Fight Pass.
okay, okay, yeah. All
They're
right, no
currently not on
wahala,
UFC.
no wahala, no wahala. See, they be like that. I be like say we go let and they go like that. You guys have been
Okay, but then
very
let's quickly chip this one in. Jorge Masvidal.
uh
He recently started his own promotion, Icon FC. I
yeah.
don't know if you
Is
guys
it the bare knuckle
heard
one?
about
Is it
it.
the bare knuckle MMA one?
No, an MMA promotion,
Okay,
Icon FC, and
so
then
because he started investing in a bare knuckle MMA promotion down there in South Florida. I've been na there Abi Yagi, and I don't know. I recently saw the icon thing. I went on their page. I can see that their first show is going to be like the only show they've done. So basically, it's their debut show. So I don't know what the.
yes, and it was on UFC Fight Pass. I saw it on UFC Fight Pass. The whole thing, the event was really fantastic.
Oh, it has
Trust me.
happened already.
Yes, it has happened already. It's currently on UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah.
You should check it out.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
free
don't
promo
think
for.
he's the owner. I think he's a partner. I think he's a
Uh,
partner. He has his own Jibril was saying, he has his own bare knuckle. It's called Gamebred FC, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
now
yeah.
he's a partner for Icon, and I think with Icon,
Yes, it's collaborating with them.
they have a better relationship. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Okay, so since you've spoken on Masvidal, let's just quickly talk about Masvidal versus Kobe Covington coming on. This is a very sweet topic for Yagi. Yagi is a like he's there's a union that Yagi runs. Yeah, is the team fuck Kobe Covington. You know that Yagi has serious issues with Kobe. So let's just quickly take a dive into this fight. This will be our last topic. Uh Kobe Covington versus Masvidal was announced. It would be on UFC 272. Or was it is it the next one? It's
Mm.
271.
And, it,
Two
and the event
seventy
after the
two.
next one.
No,
And the event
272.
after the next one, that's 272.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
you
cause
heard.
I just saying, yeah. So 272, it's gonna be the main event, 5 rounds, Kobe versus Masvidal, the beef of the Miami, who is going to be the king of Miami. Um, well, those guys are the leftovers of Kamaru Usman because he has beaten both of them twice in a row. They are both
Wise.
of them. Their last two fights were L's to Kamaru Usman, 4 L's together. Yagi, how do you see this fight going? Quickly, we are just going to do this very quick. How do you see this fight going? Is there any chance for Kobe? Oh, sorry. Is there any chance for
Any
Masvidal?
chance of
Or who has a chance basically? How do you see the fight going, Yagi?
Kobe should win on paper. Kobe should win. He has a style matchup that can give Masvidal issues. But there is also a way Masvidal can win. For one thing, Masvidal is not a guy that you hold down
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to wrestling. Masvidal has very good takedown defense. He scrambles very well. Now, Masvidal also, if he continues to scramble, stop takedowns, he can force Kobe to stand and strike. Kobe gets hit a lot. I think, honestly, with no bias, Kobe should win this fight. 75% to 25%. But an evil part of me wants Masvidal to knock him out.
Hmm.
That's all I have.
Hmm. Well, what about that if that happens? How about you, Demola? What do you think about this fight, Kobe versus Masvidal? Or have you given it a thought at all, or tell me how you
Giving
feel
a
about
very
it?
big thought. I'm actually giving a very big third.
Mhm.
For me, I think Kobe has the edge. When it comes to, I think Kobe is actually disrespected, in that welterweight division, maybe because of his antics and his gimmicks, right? But then Kobe is a fantastic wrestler. Kobe has evolved as a fighter over time. He's improved on his striking as well. and
Mhm.
improved on his jiu-jitsu, trust me, he's going to be a serious problem for Masvidal. And I see him, taking the day. And I want the BMF title to be on the line as well. Just
I got BMF title, so
bragging rights.
Usman has that title.
How would you be BMFs when you lost to Kamaru Usman both twice? Anyways, that is me. I would actually prefer the BMF title to be on the line as well, because guys, I cannot wait for the press conference. I think that will be more entertaining than the fight, right? But
Mm,
the most satisfying thing for me is to get that type of satisfying knockdown, that knockouts that Usman got on Masvidal. I just want Masvidal to get one on Kobe, honestly, cause of Kobe's antics, and I'm Nigerian. Duh. Anyway, so I with that, I'll just put this to an end. Thank you so guys. Thank you so much for helping us out, guys. Thank you for lending us your time. And before we go, I'll just ask you, Demola, to drop your plugs. Any plugs you want to drop out? Any shout out you have? Anything you want to say before you go?
Okay. Wow, you should have told me before now.
No, okay.
um,
Just drop your handles. Just tell them your handle where they go find you.
okay. Shout outs to people in the MMA community, or who am I shouting out to now?
No, just give us your just tell them your handle where they'll follow you when they'll get more of you.
Okay. So my Twitter, at Demola Isimeme Odewate, at that is at King underscore Dames one. King underscore Dames one on Instagram and on Twitter. King underscore Dames one.
Okay, how about you?
That is
You're not going to plug that your channel on what's the name of that thing? That thing, that the audio thing
Club
now.
Clubhouse on
Yes.
Clubhouse.
Yeah.
On Clubhouse, King Dames as well on Clubhouse.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you guys
Okay.
can follow me on Clubhouse as well. Yeah, King
All
Dames.
right. All right. Thanks, Demola. And you, Yagi, we are on to you, Yagi. What's your plug? Closing remarks.
just thank you for having me on here. I'm really active on Twitter, so the 101 underscore uncle as well.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Yagi is a Twitter celebrity, man. MMA junkie, they retweet him, they quote him, and they give them quotes anyhow. So that's why we are trying to get Yagi on board on the African Fighter. So maybe like our editor on our website and all of that. Anyways, thank you again, guys, for listening to us ramble for almost an hour or an hour plus. And please make sure if you've gotten to the end of this, please make sure you like, subscribe, do all the good stuff, and we would be back again next week Sunday, probably with the same guys or anybody that will be available at this time next week Sunday. And thank you, guys. We are signing out.